Zest is in, where resilience begins, not fixing the cracks.
Hello everyone and welcome to Zest is in with me, Shel Marie, the podcast that'll take you on a journey from the hustle to the harmony, fueling your passion whilst finding your peace. I am super excited to welcome my guest today, Raffaele Sorry, my brain. Sorry, 1 second. I am super excited to welcome my guest today, Raffaele Gianfrancesco, a technologist and consciousness researcher exploring the fascinating intersection between human awareness and healing, as well as brain-based technology. Through his work with multisensory experiences using rhythmic light, sound and vibration, he helps create powerful spaces for nervous system regulation, deeper presence and expanded states of consciousness. Wow. I'm sure together that we will explore today how technology can become an ally for inner transformation, helping us move through mental noise and reconnect with clarity, intuition, and the wisdom already within us. These are all the types of topics I absolutely love discussing, so I'm super excited. If you feel called, I invite you to share a little love. I don't know if you can see it, but I have my love top on today and helping amplify my guest's voice by subscribing to future episodes. It costs you absolutely nothing, but helps this powerful wisdom reach many more hearts and minds. So thank you if you have done so already. And may this episode bring you a deeper presence, expanded awareness, and gentle inspiration to explore the untapped potential of your own mind and consciousness. Welcome.
So good to be here. Thank you for having me.
You're so welcome. Wow, where do we even begin? Yes, I've realized that this actually is a topic that, not even a topic, it's just I feel like it's like a master key. Something that has been unfolding, particularly for me, for many years, and I wasn't as conscious to it. And actually, and I'm sure you are aware of her work, but Florence Scovel-Shinn, I read her book literally probably in less than a week. And no, I didn't read her book. I basically studied her book in the sense of highlighting it. And it was, instead of an awakening, it was more a remembering. And then all of a sudden, all those years previous to reading the book, I realized, it all makes sense now. So with that in mind, literally, where would you like us to begin? Would you like to, because I do always love my guests to take us back first to how you came to the point you're at today, because I think that's always really important to know a little bit about your journey until we get into the nitty gritty.
Sure. So, I forgot who said it. I think it was Ram Dass said, we're all walking each other home. And for me, my journey of my life has been one of tremendous initial adversity and trauma in childhood. And so there was a lot that was given to me ancestrally, familially, institutionally, that, at the time felt very unfair and very heavy. And so my journey has been a process of going through the stages of grief, really. We're all in grief more than we think we are. And so this whole process for me was a process of peeling the onion to really get to the essence of what my purpose is to be here. And so, you said it beautifully, something touches you and you get your big why, and it all clicks into place. And so that's really what I'm trying to help people create for themselves, is those opportunities for things to just click into place so that they can get a
Mm.
perspective that they didn't have before.
Beautiful. And I can really tell, like, reading through the lines of what you express so eloquently, let's just put it that way. Um, I would love your take on this, because I know there is a huge thing about the power of words and what we
Hmm.
say.
Hmm.
Um, and that is absolutely not discarding any of our past, anything we've been through. For anyone really reading through the lines of what you've just expressed doesn't need to, pull up, if you like, all the weeds, in order to understand that that was very challenging for you. But I feel equally that that also has brought you to the point you're at today, where you've learned so much about you and your mind. And obviously, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but this is something I'm very consciously working on, and it's a process. And
Hmm.
it is important, as someone who loves to express herself, but equally I see from past things that happened in my life how I created them. Not saying that we everything is us, but a lot of situations when I was more of a conscious age, not necessarily as a child, I realized how my words did create a lot more of what I didn't want.
Hmm.
So I don't know. I just feel like, if you'd like to share a little bit on that, because I know it's
Yeah.
definitely I think a lifelong journey, learning
Right.
how to
Right.
master your mouth is, that, what is it they say, your words are your wand.
Yes. Yes. And in the Bible it says, in the beginning there was the Word, and the Word became form. And that is literally how we make our world. It's through distinctions, it's through language, it's through judgments, it's through
Mm,
preferences. And so we are taught at a very young age what things are. And when you look at a baby when it's first born, it doesn't know what anything is. It doesn't know what it's for. It's just kind of in this dreamy
yeah,
state of just being. And literally, that's as big as that being's world will ever be, because everything is happening and new, and it's just glorious. And then what do? We start giving it rules and start slicing up the world
yeah.
and giving it labels. And that is how things come into being. When something is wrong here in the United States, and I think probably where you are as well, they ask you, hey, what's the matter?
Yes, what's the matter?
And so, matter is what we create when we take energy and we slow it down and reduce it and quantify it and name
Ay,
it. And when
ay,
you name a
ay.
thing, you kill the thing, because you remove anything else it could possibly be by naming it
Gosh.
what you make it. So we do that to people all the time. We
That is
get a
the first
person.
time I've heard that, by the way, and each time the insight into words and things we say so unconsciously,
Mhm.
that have so much, like you just saying it like that, and that really shows when we add that intonation, or we really emphasize the words, the landing, the understanding. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, and it's funny
Wow.
because they literally drop hints all the time about
Yeah.
how reality is constructed. When we make a word with letters, what do we call it? We call it spelling.
Spelling.
I mean, really,
Abracadabra.
really, is it really that much of a secret? What's
Yeah,
going on?
yeah. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
But that one, ay, ay, ay. What's the matter? Oh my goodness. And do you know what's so interesting? And this is just my own personal journey. the things I am so fascinated in now, I really wasn't as a child, you
Mhm.
know. And it's not saying it was the delivery or maybe the way it was done, but science not interested, you know, geography, humanity, all the things that now, history, that I really find such powerful tools and so much insight into the world. I really was, I just did not have an interest in it. Of course, like all subjects, you know, everything, even art and creative arts, I think is very much um, kind of considered as like a hobby thing. But really,
Mhm.
even that, as we said in your introduction, vibration, sound, everything, I believe, all has its purpose and intertwines so cleverly in our world.
Yes. Yeah.
So,
Yeah,
yeah.
for me, I mean, my work centers around helping people create opportunities for change. And for, sometimes that looks like conversation, sometimes that looks like a technological process that utilizes technology to create what we call windows of opportunity. Windows of opportunity are times where our brain and body become receptive to new inputs. And they have not only the ability to recognize a new input coming in and to accept it, but also to integrate it and have it become part of the organism as a somatic memory. And that's why it's so important to combine the different stimuli. If you hear something, you have 20% chance of remembering it. If you hear it and see it, you have a 40% chance of remembering it. If you hear it, see it, and feel it, now you've doubled. Okay, again.
Absolutely.
And so,
Yeah.
that's why most of our traumatic memories or life memories that are most vivid for us are always a place, a time, and an emotion that goes with it.
Yes, yes. And it's you just so beautifully, what I was going to ask you to do, I feel like you so beautifully just did it, in the sense of, I was going to say, you know, for people to really understand what you mean, but I feel like just in that example, anyone could relate to that, like,
Hmm.
easily, you know. And again, obviously not talking about really things that have happened in our life that were traumatic and things like that, because essentially we are allowed to feel how we want to feel. But
Hmm.
equally, I read something recently as well, which was how, as a, say, child or something, we imagine this house, and it's so huge and so grand and so spacious and light, and we want to go back to that house. We want to go back to that memory, that feeling. So the seeing, the feeling, the remembering. And then it says, but most people, not saying always, but would go back to that house and it would not feel grand and big, because we were very different versions.
Yeah. Well, our
Um,
parents appeared as giants and
yeah,
gods to us.
yeah,
And so, that's
yeah.
become very evident for me now. I'm at a stage in my life where my parents are, they're very old. And these giants that raised me and terrified me for most of my life are now these just little old people.
That are
And
very often
yeah,
vulnerable and
yeah.
and are still seeking lots of love.
Hmm.
But we
Hmm.
don't see it always as
Hmm.
that, the other way round, because and I know that's very tricky when things have happened in our life, but essentially love doesn't always look how we think love is supposed to look.
Hmm.
And
Well, you bring up a very interesting thing because, I talk about this in my book. Love is a word that we created to basically describe not what love really is. We created the word love to describe basically addiction, desire, attachment, expectation, and very conditional in nature. And then we went further and we just destroyed the word by applying it to just everything, like, oh my gosh, I love this, whatever. And so, love is one of the creative forces in the universe. And everything that exists because of love. And when I say love, I don't mean it the way most people think about it. I mean it in the way, nature basically, provides sunlight to the ground so that a seed can emerge and burst forth. That's the spirit of expansion. Love is expansion. And by contrast, fear is contraction. It's a pulling in of energy. And that's the way the universe breathes. We expand out and then we contract and we come back in. And that's why there are the cycles of nature. And so, we took these very big concepts and we made them fit our very limited exposure of the world. And then we wonder why, when we love someone, like why they don't love us back the way we want them to. Well, because it's not a real thing that we're talking about, I'm going to move over and close something. I'll be right back.
No worries.
Okay, sorry.
It's back.
There was some noise about to happen.
Absolutely. And this is the other thing I've noticed about words, what words mean to me and feel to me, and I associate with, could mean very different to you. And so even having a conversation, there's so much more happening than and I think that's why often, like even in a relationship, what your expectation is, and when I say relationship, I don't just mean loving relationship, I mean all relationships. And I think that's why we get the incoherence sometimes, because what, say, a manager is expecting through the words and is said, and what the person actually receives and thinks, and then you get the kind of the feedback. But obviously, I would love your take on the more, and I think this is a really tricky one to maybe explain, but I feel like the more conscious and aware you become, the more coherent you become. So I feel like when you're really intentional and I hope I'm explaining this right, and aligned with what you really want to put out or receive, you generally attract that. Whereas when we kind of what unfortunately most people are doing are just responding to life, not knowing, so reacting to life, not knowing that they can actually consciously like contribute towards it. I think the connections, the experiences, most things that happen then become less about a surprise and more like, of course. Did that make sense? Sorry, that was very
100%.
I think some people are now were like,
it makes perfect sense. And I think that the thing that really becomes the key to unlock that is to take an approach like, for example, here in the US, and I'm sure it exists, where you are too, there's a type of therapy called IFS, internal family systems. And basically it postulates that we all have a committee in our head. And this committee is made up of all these voices that are actual real people that have been in our life, or archetypes for those people. And they all have a vote and a voice. And usually whatever voice is loudest is determined by the circumstances that are going on. And so, in a romantic situation, the seductress might show up, or in a stressful situation, the protector might show up. And so when we're in the world trying to manifest, trying to put our best energy out there and, for example, set a goal,
Yeah.
we want to be very aware of who's talking in our head.
Yeah.
So you do not want the seductress making decisions about finance.
No. um,
So,
like,
getting centered and really just sitting and getting quiet and listening and saying, what's the loudest voice in my committee right now? And is this the voice that should be making the decisions or selecting the actions that I'm about to embark upon right now? And
yeah.
that alone can have such a huge impact on the way you live your day-to-day life. Just literally just stop and ask yourself, who's talking? Like if there's a voice in your head, say, who's talking? Who's
Yeah.
there?
Become curious.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's definitely something, whether you want to call it stillness, pausing, whatever it is, that's something, prayer, whatever people want to call it. But the moment and it was definitely not something that I'm sure was easy for most people to first do when you always ring up someone to ask their opinion. I'm not saying I don't do that now, but
Mm-hmm.
often I just have this knowing that I always know the answer.
Mm-hmm.
And before I never knew, and I'm still a little indecisive, working on that. But I know that with coherence, you should, like, but we're all on a journey.
Oh, yeah.
But equally, the moment I detached from everything being truthful and
Mm-hmm.
meaningful to me, and just being curious and observing, and like what you said, is that really the best decision for me? Is that really what I think? Do I really, is that love? Is that kindness? Is that compassion? Is that actually motivating me? So they're all different depending on the situation. Is when I just, yeah, the external changes, and I'd love your take on this as well, because I do believe, and we've got to be careful when we say I do believe, but there is after your body programming your mind for so long, because I know you talk about the nervous system as well, we do have to give ourselves kindness and grace that the external is going to take a little while to catch up with the internal sometimes. And I know, again, knowing about the power of words, it could be, oh, what you said I believe, so then but equally I do believe, after 30 odd years of one way, just reacting to life,
Mm-hmm.
we have to give ourselves some kindness and compassion, that even when we receive that key and that insight, and it really becomes a knowing, that let's not be then unkind when our reality or our external doesn't always look exactly how we're then expecting it to, because again, it's an expectation, isn't it?
And that's the key, really, is to become very aware of what our expectations are and where they came from.
Yeah.
Because, it really gets into the sticky area of free will. And, there's people that believe that we have free will, and there are people that believe that we don't have free will. And there's a very good philosophical arguments on both sides of that. But if you really look at all of the inputs that go into just a decision you'll make throughout the day, that you don't really have responsibility for having all these things in your head. You were given all of these programs, and now you're supposed to go out in the world and take all of that information and turn it into something that's uniquely you. And it's very difficult because the brain's lazy. The brain wants the path of least resistance. The brain cares about two things: not dying and reproducing.
Yeah.
That's all the brain cares about. Everything else falls into those two categories.
Wow.
And so that's really important to know.
Yes. And I think I remember one of the powerful lines being, take control of your mind or it will take control of you. And I feel like that really summarizes what you've just said.
Yeah,
This is
and
it's a
actually,
problem
Carl
solver,
Jung,
isn't it?
yeah, Carl Jung said it beautifully. He said, until you face the subconscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate.
Oh, yes, yes. Oh, yeah. So with that in mind, what would you say are the biggest misconceptions about the mind that most people have?
Wow, that's a huge question. All right. So that, this actually kind of is a good segue into just a very quick description of the book I just finished. And it's called the Minotaur Protocol. And it's about basically how to use AI to do your own self-inquiry and enlightenment process. And it gives you a map to basically find where you are in your world using a completely impartial, egoless collaborator.
Wow.
And right now we have
That's
that
the technology part that we were going to go into. Keep going.
Yeah, because honestly, you mentioned asking your friend about something, okay, or asking your community. But unfortunately, your friends in your community have a preconceived notion of who you're supposed to be. And so, that's why people go into caves to get enlightened, because they don't need other people telling them what they should do.
I agree.
Everybody has an opinion about what your life should be, what it should mean, how you should interact with them. And so to be able to use technology, for example, the technology that I use, which is, I call it triadic entrainment. All right. And triadic entrainment is a 3-modality way of programming your nervous system, which uses light, sound, and vibration in perfect coherence. And it creates a state of plasticity so that you can have new learnings, accept them into your system, and integrate them in a very sped up process. And so it really brings together all of the benefits of psychedelic therapy and music therapy and light therapy, and puts them into a very kind of neat container where you can very safely put yourself into altered and expanded states of consciousness without needing to take drugs.
Amazing. And that so beautifully, I feel like, is a 360 back to what you explained so beautifully earlier, which was the seeing, the hearing, and the feeling. So it gets you into that percentage straight away. Wow. I've had actually no, I have had some sort of experience similar to this. I'm not saying at all, like, you feel free to share your technology, but I remember first of all, when I was in Dubai, I only had the experience of just the light, and it just happened to be, if people want to say, your third eye. And I remember being like, speaking to the people afterwards, and obviously they were doing the sound healing at the same time. And now I realize, no, I did, because that would have been a vibration as well because of the sound healing.
Right.
I was just about to say, no, I didn't have the vibration part of it, but I did. And I remember saying to everyone, like, wow, wasn't that incredible? Like, did you see thinking it was something playing? And it was like this incredible kaleidoscope.
Right.
My brain, I realize now, it was my brain. And then an extension of that, I remember being on a waterbed in Bali, and then that's why I couldn't associate with the vibration at the time there, but I realized, no, it still was.
Were you at the pyramids of Chi in Bali?
I was, yes. And
so they utilize the 3 pillars of what I utilize: stroboscopic light,
amazing,
incredibly deep felt music, and somatic vibration.
Yes, it's an incredible experience.
Hmm.
And this is why I'm so happy I'm speaking to you, because what a pleasure to, without knowing, to be able to have had that experience. And yes, really, really, what a powerful experience it was. And so, with that in mind, because of the way, particularly the vibration side of it,
Hmm.
it, most people, this would need to be in person, wouldn't it, to really get the benefit of the
For
experience?
the full experience, yes,
Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah.
Nobody can take mushrooms for you. And,
No.
well, actually,
Right, guys, via the screen now. I think even
yeah,
if
yeah.
someone pretended, and
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah. And I don't recommend anybody, take any drugs,
Yeah.
make your own decisions. But, you know, back in the day, however, that being said, this is a whole new thing with us taking psychedelics on our own. Back
Mm.
in the day, the healer of the tribe would take the psychedelic for you, and then they
Wow.
would go into the astral plane and wrestle with your demons for you, because
Oh
that's
my
what they were
gosh.
trained to do. And what we don't realize is that this new kind of approach that we have, where everybody's going on an ayahuasca retreat
Mm.
every month, okay? What they don't realize is that if it's not a completely perfectly sealed container, and that if you
Absolutely.
don't have complete, buttoning down of your own energy, when you go into these states, you
Mm.
open yourself fully. And if you're not trained,
Yeah.
you can bring back
Yes, yes.
energetic hitchhikers from the astral plane
Yeah.
that are actually potentially worse than what you went there to get rid of.
Well, that's literally what I was just thinking. How many of these stories do you hear where these people now, that like they have these strong voices, they have all sorts happening,
Mhm.
that they're kind of not so grounded anymore.
Right, right.
But as I'm hearing from you, this is something that I believe in. Again, I'm not putting words into your mouth, but this is a very conscious, safe technology. Like, I remember
Mhm.
even before I had that beautiful experience, which still would have been just as beautiful if no one sat us around and explained it and just put me on the waterbed and started playing the music. Most people are generally going to have a very safe experience and feel
Mhm.
very held. And yeah, whereas I just think I agree with you. I think with something, especially when it's just something that's kind of trending, that they've
Mhm.
done no work up to that point of the mind and know nothing about the internal or what they're even getting themselves into. And often, and I'm not saying I've never had that experience, so I'm not saying that they don't explain it all to them. But again, if you have someone with limited English and you're going into an experience and you don't really know what's going to completely happen to you,
Mhm.
that can be very traumatic.
Yeah, there's a very good book too. It's called Halfway Up the Mountain, and the subtitle is Stories of Premature Enlightenment. And basically, what we're learning is that the ego is so clever, and it will appropriate anything we give it and play the game so brilliantly that you think you're having an enlightenment experience, and really all you're doing is just feeding this god complex that the ego
Oh,
has created. And this is how we end up with all of these kind of spiritually bypassed, incomplete individuals, where
yeah.
they jumped from basically broken child archetype into, okay, now I'm at one with God. All right. And they
Yes.
never went through that mature adulting phase that's so necessary to learn responsibility for ourselves.
Yeah.
So what they end up doing is they end up just kind of whitewashing over all of the hard
Mm,
parts
absolutely.
and the behavior
Yeah.
modification, and just going to now become this kind of like spiritual guru kind of thing. And like, that's the last thing I ever want anybody to look at me and think is that, I think I know anything. I've just had a lot of experiences that I'm sharing with people, but there is still an infinite amount that I don't have any way to know what I don't know.
Exactly.
And
We only know what we know.
that's really where you want to be. You want to be in a state of awe and wonder and
Yes.
curiosity.
Yes.
Not, oh, hey, I know what's going to happen now. No, that's
Yes. And this is just a side note of things that I've noticed. But I noticed those particular people are very easy to identify because they'll do the whole ceremony, whatever it is, and they need to then like sleep, or they need to, because they've got themselves to an energy that they haven't actually got to the capacity to hold. And I believe, again, back to your wise words, it's not saying we have to go through what we go through, but it kind of is a little bit of the life here at the moment, and I think when you've kind of gone through something, you've integrated, like what I said, I was getting little kind of seeds of the information and the wisdom that I received fully and integrated recently. But would I have, if I read that book, say 4 or 5 years ago, would I have understood it at the same level as now? No. I probably would have had a lot of naps, and it would have took me a lot longer, because I would have had to integrate it, whereas I probably got through that book so quickly because it was a remembering and a knowing and a connecting the dots. So yeah, and again, no judgment to anyone who has done that. We're all on our different journeys, and I'm sure we I feel like we always go like this, and then we come back to here, and we go here. But I agree with you, and I love all that you're creating and infusing into the world, and very powerful, very, very powerful. So you should absolutely deserve the credit for it. And sorry, you're in the US, did you say?
correct. Yes.
Yeah. So honestly, and it's not saying we all have planes and transport, everybody, but if you can have the opportunity to connect with an incredible man like Raphael and have this experience, if it's something you just feel you're wanting to seek, you will not be disappointed. It is.
There are actually practitioners all around the world. I have practitioners in Bali.
There we go.
Yeah. So, wherever you are in the world, if you want to drop a comment below, and if you're looking for a place to have this kind of experience, or if you're just curious about how the technology works, I have a couple of books that I wrote about the technology itself and the process that we use. Maybe we could drop those in there.
Yes,
and
I'm gonna put everything in the description for you.
Yeah, and so, but yeah, there's a lot to be had out of this. It really is a way to center ourselves and reset our nervous system so that we can be more receptive. I like to talk about the hollow bone a lot. And, the Buddhists believe that the only way you can become a pure channel is to become a hollow bone, to anything that is in the way of pure energy coming through us and manifesting into the earth. And what ends up happening is, because of the blockages in our energy system, in our chakra system, this energy that wants to come through and basically glorify us as beings gets shot out sideways, because your heart can't hold it, and your heart has to kind of deflect it, because there's something in your heart that's preventing the smooth energy transfer down to the rest of you, or up. We're literally moving energy up from Mother Earth through us and down from the heavens through us. So it's always kind of like that Ida and Pingala channel, the up and down channel. And that's why they have the intertwined snakes on the caduceus, because it's an energy, it's a flow in both directions. And if the energy is impeded in either direction, we're either not going to receive correctly or we're not going to manifest correctly.
Wow. Yes. Yes, yes, yes. I can really visually, powerfully see that, and it makes sense how, I'm not saying it bypasses it, but how this incredible technology really honors, like, it's so interesting because at the time when I experienced, particularly in Bali,
Hmm.
I wasn't as consciously aware. So it's very
Hmm.
interesting now that I know about intention and about more the
Hmm.
understanding behind it, instead of it being just that it was like a lovely experience, but obviously a very powerful, lovely experience without knowing it. It'd be interesting now to experience it again, but have a different awareness of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I think very
100%.
powerful.
Mhm.
um, wow, 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 wow. Of course, if there's anything else you really feel like the viewers would benefit from hearing, feel free. This is your episode. But equally, like, what a pleasure to connect with you. Really, thank you so much.
Yeah, I think, one final thing is really just spend time with yourself as much as you can, and really just, we live in a world right now that is so full of signal and things coming at us
Yes.
that our attention is becoming more and more and more fragmented, and our ability to process and integrate is reducing every day. And so, try to spend a little bit of time in the analog world. Pick up a book, read just a few pages,
Yeah.
and just keep that connection. Write something down
Mm.
your hand on a piece
Yes,
of paper
yes.
with a pen or a pencil. And just one of the things that I've had really great experience with is morning pages. When you wake up in the morning, you just put the pen to the paper and just see what falls out of you. Just no
Yeah.
intention at all. Just write down whatever shows
Beautiful.
up. And you can do
Beautiful.
that at night too. And so anything that allows you to just lessen the amount of noise in your system.
Absolutely. And I love that you said morning and night, because as we know, the subconscious is very impressionable then.
Hmm.
And I think it's a really beautiful start to your day. And I'm very, very conscious and intentional about particularly my mornings and nights, and ensuring that, particularly energetically, with my phone and things like that, that I'm really having at least 20 minutes to half an hour of, like, just being in my own thoughts, in my own mind. And it, again, such a powerful change. So really thank you for that. And you were one step ahead of me, which shows the alignment, because I was going to say, if there's anything that comes to your mind right now that the viewers would really benefit from hearing, what would you tell them? Of course, if you have anything, it doesn't have to relate to anything we've just said, feel free to share it. But really, I've loved creating this episode with you. What an absolute pleasure. Thank you.
Yeah, that was it. That's what I would have said. So thank
That's
you.
what I mean. I'm just as like, each time, and this is really interesting because obviously this is an internal thing, so people would know. But each time I'm listening and I want to ask you something, you just say it. So what a pleasure to have just a guest that is just almost not mind reading, but you know what I mean. Like, we're just in such
Well, but in a
alignment.
way, I'm not reading your mind, but I'm in the flow of
Yes.
our
Yeah.
conversation. And so if you imagine a flock of birds, and you see them, like, when they shift and they all shift together, it's not
Yeah.
like they're saying to each other, go left. They just know.
Nature. Nature is such
They
a
just know.
powerful teacher, isn't it?
Right.
Yeah, really. Thank you so, so much. And yeah, all your details will be in the description, and reach out to this incredible man, because I feel like that we've not even touched, like, the surface of your mind and all that you know. But what a treat to have you. Thank you.
So I'm going to send you a copy of my book, okay? And then maybe we can have another conversation once you
Absolutely.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
going to happen. And that you just reminded me of what I was going to say. Sorry, everybody, just before you go. I was listening to audiobooks online and I was going through them, and really powerful. But the moment I brought the book and I really said it aloud, not just in my head, and I highlighted the key parts to me.
Right. Yeah.
Exactly what
you
you
have to
said.
listen to an audiobook about 5 times to fully ingest it the way you would if
Yeah,
you were reading the book. And people
absolutely.
don't realize that reading is so powerful.
Yes.
It's so there's a technology here in the United States called EMDR, which is you move your eyes to the left and right during therapy, and like you're looking at a tennis match. It basically replicates like when we would walk on the savannah and we would be scanning left and right in the distance, and so, but when you read, you're doing the same thing. You're scanning left and right. So it's a very soothing, grounding, calming thing to do. Now, certainly not if you're reading something very activating like horror or anything like that. But
Conscious consumption, people.
conscious consumption, exactly.
Wow. Another little treat, little gift for you all just before he goes. Thank you.
Yeah. A pleasure.
You're welcome.
That's the magic that Zest is in.